cannot see comments. Okay, so we got comments over here, so we're gonna just figure it out. But we're gonna get started in just a few minutes. We're gonna give a couple more people some time to hop in. First of all, like, I'm already having fun, so I hope you guys have fun. But the fact that we get to be in the same place together, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But literally, the fact that we get to be in the same room together to do this is literally a gift. Like, anytime I get to spend time, and especially like this live with is just wild. It's a gift. So I'm super excited to do that. So even if y'all don't have fun, we gonna have fun.
Which I think it's a great preference, because I shared it, I think it was yesterday on Facebook. You know how Facebook did your friend anniversary.
Yes.
And it showed that we have been friends on Facebook for 4 years. Wow. And it took me back to when we first met. You were in the process of collecting data for your dissertation.
Yes, that's, oh my gosh,
and I think I saw the request in like a group me or something.
Yes.
But I ended up, which if you read it, you'll see, you know, that takes away confidentiality, but I don't care.
Opportunity. Yeah, it's been a couple years. Yeah, you're the expert. She literally helps people write their dissertation every day. So is that enough time? Will I be okay? All right.
You know,
all right.
You know,
don't be trying to get my doctorate back.
But it was during that conversation, we had never met and just really talked about this idea of leadership.
Yeah.
Which then moved into us into the professional pearls. So shout out to Siobhan Moore.
Yes.
Shout out to Dr. K. Reed.
Yes.
And has even shifted our relationship in terms of friendship, and then moved into business partners.
Absolutely.
And so now co-authors.
Say that part again. Say it one more time.
Co-authors.
I think just before we started this, I was talking about how I can't believe it. I don't know when it'll like kind of hit, if that makes sense. I think as we continue to get great feedback about like how it's impacted people's lives and how they've been able to kind of have actionable ways to kind of add strategic risk into the work that they do every day, I think that'll continue for it to kind of impact me as like how like I don't know, you know.
You're an author. I mean, you were technically an author when you published your dissertation, right?
Yeah, that's legit. That's
right?
Legit. That's legit.
But it was part of the process to get the degree.
Yes.
Okay, but you're still an author. Yeah. But now you've written a book.
Absolutely.
Not because you had to fulfill a requirement.
Yeah.
Well, technically, because it was purpose work.
Oh, see, you gonna already start. Listen, before you hop into that, I want us to take some time to talk to some of the people in our. I'm gonna move that for just a second. There we go. Perfect. I think that's great. Are we centered? Y'all tell us in the comments if we're centered and good.
Because if y'all saw the setup over here,
y'all, this. It's wild over here, but we made it work for y'all, okay? Because we want to be able to answer y'all's questions. So I want to shout out just a couple people who are who I'm seeing in the chat. Please make sure to drop a comment so we know you're here, so that we see you. Even tell us kind of where you're watching this from. First of all, somebody said we looking good.
Color coordinated.
Y'all know we had to put on, okay? So I want to shout out Alan. Alan is Alan, you are in these comments and I appreciate it, okay?
Dr. Mueller,
yes, Dr. Mueller, thank you so much for being here today and for saying our fun is contagious. That means the world. I already shouted out Erica, so good to see you. Dr. Whitney Boyd in the comments. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'll probably share a little bit about this later, but Whitney has been Dr. Boyd has been incredibly instrumental in kind of some of the action piece of putting some of our framework into action. And so I'm so grateful for her and for her being able to be a sounding board too, for what we talked about, for this work that we did. Let's see. I see some other folks, but we're gonna hop in kind of with I've got a question for you. So this is gonna be interesting because we both kind of do this, if you know what I'm saying. And so oftentimes people will be like, can you be the moderator for my live or whatever the case is? So you've got two moderators who are going to try to moderate their own live. So we're going to see what that looks like. But I already know we're going to be in for a good time. So you guys have already been here and we didn't hit y'all. Hit you with baby. Look at that. So I think that's a perfect place for us to start, right? Yeah. I'm holding the book, but I want you to tell us a little bit about like what inspired you to make me, no, I keep telling her. I had no intention to write a book. Matter of fact, a lot of times in our friendship, in our business partnership, in our mentorship, because I mean, like, I 100% consider, no matter how much she always like, now we're here, right? I still forever will see her as a sponsor, right? Not just a mentor, both a mentor and a sponsor. So she has always spoken into my life that I would write a book. And she likes to put S's on the end of that. And I would tell her, no, that's not a passion of mine. It's not what I like to do. I wrote one dissertation so I could be done with writing forever, right? And y'all, if I'm not sitting here in front of a camera telling y'all about this book. So I want us to kind of talk about, hi Carmen, one of my sorority sisters is in the comments. Hi dear. So I want us, and Taliza,
that's my sorority sister.
Oh my gosh.
And she's a blogger for the Disruptive Narrative blog. So
yes. Hi y'all, thank you so much for your support. So I want us to start just a little bit with what was the inspiration, right? Like several people have asked already, like what made you be like, we're writing about strategic rest? And specifically, one of the things that to me is incredibly important for us to also help people understand is that this was built around a framework, right? Around the nap. Y'all, we a little genius. Like you gotta play on that, okay? The nap, because we know y'all like a good nap, okay? So around strategic rest, what was your inspiration for this?
I got tired of being exhausted and being around folks who were also exhausted in leadership, regardless of the title, and no one knew how to not be exhausted.
Ooh. So you starting already?
Like we were very strategic in how to be burnt out.
Yeah.
But we weren't strategic in how to outrun the burn.
Absolutely. And I know for me, what really inspired me is some people, right? Like one of the first things that really comes to mind for me is I started to see really successful people who were not exhausted.
Yeah.
And I kept going like, wait, because to me, success is supposed to look exhausted. Success is supposed to look raggedy. Success is supposed to be like, she's everywhere. She's doing all the things, right? But how come this person looks moisturized and hydrated, but she's still doing all of the things, right? So that became my question. And as I started to look at more and more people, I started to see that the people who have wealth, right? The people who do the things that they want to do prioritize rest. They're the people who are, some of them. They're people who take time for vacations. There are people who go, I'm blocking my calendar, right? There are people who have this, and it was incredibly important to me, especially as a woman of color, navigating spaces in which I've been told a whole lot. You need to do everything, right? You need to be better. You need to be smarter. You need to be faster. But does that also mean that I should maybe rest better?
So here's the thing. You said the words, so I'm big on words. You said the words that success is supposed to X, Y, and Z. And when you look at the word suppose, there's some opposition. Tell me where the op is. How you spell suppose? Come on. So anytime you're in the space where you say suppose, then you've already set yourself up for opposition of what
job
it needs to be.
Stop. And that it leaves the space for there to be something else, right? Yeah. That you don't necessarily have to subscribe to that, what could be opposing thought.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the other inspiration was, you know, I'm very clear about I'm moving towards millionaire, billionaire status in my life.
Come on.
And that takes a different level of thinking. And I don't want to be run down ragged when I get there. I want to be peaceful. I want to be restful. And so as I look at, everybody's journey is different. But as I look at the work that we do individually, collectively, etc., no one talks about how to strategically be in a space of peace where it's okay. Hey, the deadline is tomorrow. It's 5 p.m. I'm done. Yeah. It's always, I got to get it done. Hey, it's still going to be here tomorrow. Because one thing for sure, two things for certain. If it don't get done and God takes me away, somebody else will do it. Or it just won't get done.
Someone else will do it, or it just won't get done. Right. To me, one of the most difficult conversations that I've had to have with clients is literally around the fact that there's more than a choice for you to do it. Yeah. Does that make sense? People go, I have no choice. We have choices in everything. We have choices in everything. To not do it is a choice. To say no is a good old choice. Yeah. Okay? It's an option, right? But people going like, if I don't do it, who will? Sometimes that is not your business.
My thing, I've come to learn, even in my own self-awareness, is that when I get to a space and I say, if I don't do it, nobody else will. I sat there and said, well, if I have to say that, then was it even intended for me to do it?
First of all, you're not going to cut up on this live. That's what you're not going to do. Was it intended, right? Like for me to do it? Was it my calling?
Because if I have to question what I know God has given me to do, we got some bigger problem. Too many times, and I say this often, we are operating in assignments that don't even belong to us because we're trying to help somebody else out, or we think it's the right thing to do to show that, no, cut that out.
Right.
You're shortening your lifespan.
That.
Because what you're supposed to do, you're not even doing.
And one of the largest things, too, is that when you're not in the space that you're supposed to be in, then you're not able to help the people you're supposed to help, right? If I'm getting delayed at a stop here that wasn't even where I was supposed to stop, that it wasn't even time for me in my journey to stop at this gas station to get these chips. Y'all, I'm hungry. Okay. Then I missed who might have been at my actual stop, right? And listen, like it's incredibly important for us to understand that we don't have to do it all, right? We shouldn't be doing it all. Matter of fact, things that don't align with what I'm called to do, to me, are not the things that I'm supposed to be doing, right? And to me, there has been so much like rest strategically in choosing to be who I am called to be.
Yeah. I think the other piece in terms of inspiration is that you think about those who are quote unquote leading you, especially if you think about a position, right? Your leaders. And I noticed that in majority of my positions, my leaders were not rested. How them being not rested impacted what I was supposed to do to show up in my position.
My goodness.
Because, being a Black woman and etc., I felt like, I have to do what they do to get to where they are. And they weren't rested, and I felt myself running ragged. And I don't want that. And so when I became a supervisor, I was very, very clear on self-awareness from a leader standpoint, because if I'm battling it as a leader, I can only imagine what those who are reporting to me do.
Exactly.
And they're looking for us as examples, regardless of how we want to see it.
Yes.
And so if my leader is always working, then I feel expected that I need to work. Let me stop you right there. Expectations only require one person.
Wait, Did you say expectations only require one person?
The person that's making them. Until you have communicated the expectation with me, that's your expectation. It ain't got nothing to do with me. Once you communicate it with me and I go into agreement with it, then there's an understanding.
Right.
And then I became very clear that no one had ever expected me to be a workhorse. I put that expectation on myself.
My goodness. Nobody ever expected you to be a workhorse. You put that expectation on yourself.
Yep.
And so many of us do that, right? My story is exactly the same. Like, I talk a little bit about this, of course, in the book, kind of my upbringing, if that makes sense. My religious upbringing kind of even kind of leans towards rest, right? Like, so I am Seventh-day Adventist, and in that faith, Saturday is a day of rest for us. Even people who are around us, like, it goes as far as to say people who work in your gates or in your gates should be resting, right? And so seeing my parents kind of share that example of rest and see them really be able to navigate a lot of stuff, but seeing them take it that pause, it to me was so like foundational, right? But then I get to college and I see all the people who are doing all of these things, and the expectation started to be that you need to be everything and everyone. How can you make your collegiate experience fantastic if you're not doing everything? You're in college. You're supposed to be up until 2 and 3 in the morning doing whatever.
Now you're trying to do it when you 40 or 50 and realize that I ain't able.
It's wild because systematically what happened is they built, right? And you said, I was about to put it on other people. And you just told me that the expectation that I set for myself was that I needed to do any and everything. That's where success would come from, right? So saying yes to every project, being the last one to leave the office, doing all of these different things to me was supposed to equal success, right? And so really changing that mindset and understanding that busyness does not equal success, and it does not set you up to be rested. When I find myself locking into strategic rest, right, I'm able to show up not only at work and other work, because I own a consulting firm and still work full time, and to show up for other people, but I'm able to be my best.
The energy is different.
My energy is different.
Like how many people do you know are great people in general, and they're leaders in spaces, and then you come into contact with them and their energy is just off. But you know, like you keep me laughing. Why is you? Because they're not resting in their leadership. When you rest, there's a different aura about you. Doesn't mean that life is not still happening.
Of course.
Oh my God, life is always happening. But I've repositioned my angle in what it means to rest in leadership, and not rest being, and I think we'll get into it, the types of rest. So not rest being just sleep.
Absolutely. That is one of the big things in our book, is that we outline some of ways besides just sleep, as most people kind of think about rest. So I want to talk to a couple people in our chat real quick. So I see Michelle Vance.
That's Dr. Vance.
Dr. Vance, how are you? I see, oh my gosh, McQueen has my heart. How are you? You know, if nothing else, you gonna show up for us, and we appreciate it.
That's that collective strategic rest.
It really is. I said hi, Carmen. Carmen said, listen, okay? Like, some of these pieces, she was like, expectations only require one person until it's communicated, right? Exactly like Dr. K was saying. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Another favorite author of mine, Candy Harris, is here. We actually went to college together. I cannot believe it. It feels like just yesterday, but Candy was actually my student orientation and registration leader. And so I'm so grateful to her for that leadership very early on. We've got Mark Anthony. How are you, Mark? Good to see you. Of course, I think we said hi to Alan. I owe you a text. Okay, deal. Look at you. Okay, so I want us, because I'm sure lots of people want to know, right? What is the concept of strategic rest, right? I feel like it's only fair, even though you need to get the book. Okay, I think it's only fair for us to share a little bit about what strategic rest looks like for us, because here's the thing, you get to frame it, and that's why we created a framework around it. So I want you to share a little bit about what strategic rest, what's the concept of it, and why is it essential for leaders?
Yeah. So, because I'm getting old, I'm gonna read what I wrote. And so it's a line that speaks to that. And I said, for me, rest means being grounded in the here and now, with my thoughts centered on where I am rather than scattered across a million distractions. And for me, when my mind is all over the place, I know I'm not rested. When I'm rested, I'm able to think more clearly, and it's more strategic in my thought process, right? And recognizing that my thoughts being scattered puts me in a space that I need to be everywhere and everything to everybody.
Absolutely.
And I'm just not able. And so when I rest, for me, resting can be playing a video game. It can be talking to my little Yorkie poo that runs around the house.
Well, you got shout out Kobe.
It could be getting on Canva and just being creative in the moment on a flyer without reason. Rest for me is anything that's not attached to an outcome.
Yeah.
It's just being, right?
Yes.
And being planted where I'm at.
Yes.
If I'm somewhere and I'm thinking, if I'm talking to you and I'm thinking about X, Y, and Z over here, I'm not rested. And so I can't effectively lead in this space.
Absolutely.
Right. And so rest becomes a sanctuary for me. It is definitely embedded in who I am and what I am. It's not what I do, it's who I am. And that's the difference. I don't do rest, I am rest.
You didn't have to do us like that. So you don't do rest. You are rest.
I am rest.
You are peace.
Yeah. Because when I recognize that I'm not rest or I'm not in peace, then I need to shift what I am doing.
Absolutely.
But if I focus on doing rest first, it's going to set myself up for failure. But the moment I say I am rest, then it shifts in, okay, if I'm rest, what do I need to be doing?
Absolutely.
It's a different approach.
Listen, I'm gonna hop back in the comments for just a second. Erica, hi Erica. First of all, good to see you. She said it's not tied to an outcome. You're absolutely right. And that's what you find in our book, right? It's not tied to an outcome. And then it seems like when people are chasing it as an outcome, when people begin to chase rest as a reward for hard work. Rest is not a reward for hard work. Rest is how you are able to work hard, if that's what you choose to do. I don't really believe in hard work. To me, when I'm doing what I'm called to do, it's not really hard. When it starts to be tough for me to be somewhere, to believe in something, to show up authentically as myself, then I have to start assessing, and we'll talk about that.
Nurturing,
prioritizing. I start taking a nap.
Yes.
Okay, it's time for me to take a nap.
Yeah.
I need to figure out whether this is the place that I'm supposed to be. So yes, I don't believe in hard work anymore, if that makes sense, because of that piece. So listen. Mark said, listen, Mark had all the exclamation points and said, I am rest. Okay. We're going to have to put that on a shirt because that feels very shirty to me. Okay. Listen, we've got you're just more tired. Hi, look, one of my line sisters. I got multiple line sisters in here. You know, sorority sisters, yes. I love my, okay. But when you got your line,
but you got that blue eyes.
Hold on, don't get me like that on these people camera, okay? So someone said, yes, absolutely. Rest is not a reward. It's required. It's necessary to do your best work.
Yeah. I think as you were talking, the thing that came up to me, and I'm guilty of used to saying it too, of that whole "I'll rest when I'm dead."
Mm-hmm. Oh, people love to say that, and you're gonna be dead messing around, messing around, not resting.
Yeah, like if we redefine what rest is,
take us there.
It's you get to define what that looks like, right?
That
and how it's situated in your life.
That
and it becomes a sense of peace and joy.
Yes.
And if that's the definition, and you go and say, "I'll rest when I'm dead," so you want joy when you're dead. You want joy when you can't experience.
You're gonna make me knock over this
because you ain't coming back.
That's it. That's the end.
So might as well rest now, whatever that looks like.
Whatever it looks like.
While you can experience it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're dead, you can't experience rest. Mm. And I think that language in itself keeps us in the cycle that we work. Mm-hmm. I can rest when I'm dead. Mm-hmm. Oh no, I'm here to interrupt, disrupt all of that.
Disrupt. And that's what I was going to say. That to me is exactly... That was the mindset we had when we wrote this book. We literally wanted to disrupt the thought process, right, around rest. Mm-hmm. Again, other folks are saying it's a serious... Come on, Alan. It is a serious matter. Yes. Rest is. It is, though. It is, right? So we've got Michelle saying, I love that you've been taught so many things in this piece. Exactly. Carmen said, ain't no coming back, right? And one of the things that really hit for me right now is what Dr. Vance said. She said, there's been so many things that we've been taught, right? As a community, as a culture, as women, as men, as whoever, right? We've been taught that are harmful. So when we're the unlearning generation, and that's what this is a call to do, right? Mm-hmm. To me, before, people have always tried to tell you exactly what something should look like. And instead, we want you to be the architectures, right, of what rest should look like for you. Even the two of us, rest looks very different for the two of us.
Yeah.
Going to the gym ain't rest.
Going to the gym is restful for me. I get to relax, especially... I can be there as long as I need to be.
Yes.
I can take my time between sets.
Yes.
I can process that. But when you go into the gym and you're thinking, gym for me is about sweating and working out because I'm trying to, nope. Mm-hmm. You restructure that whole thing.
And that's what it's about, right? Okay, so I want us really quick, because we talked about taking a nap, we talked about that, and I think it's important for people to understand a little bit about the framework. So you understand what we think about strategic rest at this point, but I want to share with you about our framework. Now listen, we can't be spoiling everything, okay? Ultimately, to truly understand what you need to be doing to take your nap, you need to get the book, okay? However, look... Kenny said, baby, y'all can have fun at that gym. Okay, I'm with you, sis. All right. It is. Carmen, rest is a personal thing. And that's why we wrote this framework all around that. Okay. So when we start to think about strategic rest, right, we have a framework for strategic rest. And we call it, of course, a nap, right? But you get it. It's time to take a nap, right? But in this context, the nap framework is nurture, okay? It is assess, and then it's prioritize, okay? So in that, you start to look, somebody said, give us the Cliff Notes. Okay, yeah, that's what we're doing a little bit right now. But no, you need to get this book, okay? Because, and I'll tell you in a little while why you really for sure need to not just read the book, but also work the book, okay? So when we think about nurture, right? For us, it really has a lot to do with the spaces and the places, right? Yeah. And this can be dual. It's got a duality there. Not only is it physically like the place and where you are, right? And what you do in order to make sure that that place is a place of rest for you, but also the groups that you cultivate of people in your community that also believe in rest.
Yeah. How are you nurturing yourself? And most of nurturing yourself is also is the spaces that you're keeping, the company that you're keeping.
Absolutely.
And from even not just a personal space, but even in your workspace, what kind of professional development are you doing that's nurturing for you, right? And so this nurture space, the beginning of the nap is to say, hey, one, am I nurturing myself? Am I taking or is it more of a nature? Sticking to what mom and them used to do. But it's a different time frame now, right? You know, some things are still there, but the mentality has shifted. So when we think about nurturing, and you get to the moment, now I'm not nurturing myself. I'm not really taking care of myself. Okay, it's almost time to take a nap. Let me identify ways of nurturing myself, whether it is, hey, sis, you can't hang out no more because every time, listen, because if I have to hear that same story after I give you an advice, you have chosen not to listen to me. You chose. So I accepted your right to choose. And you keep bringing all this negative energy. It's not nurturing for me. So I have to remove myself. And you have to be okay with that. Everybody can't go with you if your destination is over here and it requires a two-door car.
Whoa.
Everybody can't get in that.
Did you just say that everybody can't go with you if you in a two-door car?
Every destination ain't meant for everybody. Just like your nurturing strategies ain't meant for everybody.
And don't look the same as everybody's, right? So the second part, of course, is assess.
Yep,
right?
My favorite.
That's your of course, the queen of assessment here. So of course we couldn't get out of this without assessing. But assessing is honestly one of the most important pieces, right? To like to strategic rest, right? Really assessing in so many different capacities what's working, right? And realizing that this assessment, naps happen constantly, right? And they have to, right? As things happen, as things disalign or get out of line for you, it's going to always be important for you to start assessing, what is this now? And in the book, we provide some questions that you need to be asking yourself in the assessment phase.
I think one of the simplest way to talk about assessment too is if you think about the wellness wheel, the 8 dimensions, you know, how are you nurturing yourself in your environment? How are you nurturing yourself intellectually? How are you nurturing yourself socially, financially, emotionally, right? And so take an inventory of that. And so, because if it's very hard to write a story about your life if you don't have the data to write it. So it's very hard to talk about what rest means to you and how to lead in rest if you haven't collected the data on what it is right now and how to shift out of that. And so taking inventory or assessing yourself in this space of what it means to be strategically rested, especially in leadership, is going to be critical for you to get to the next phase, which is to prioritize.
So once you, of course, finish that assessment, right? Which is sometimes an ongoing process.
It is.
She's right. You get into prioritize. And this is when you're really called to the carpet, okay? There's something that you always say, and I'm going to let you say it. It's something that you ask clients all the time when they tell you, hey, I couldn't do something, right? What is it that you say to them about who... what was
statements?
Yes. Tell us a little bit about yes.
Okay. So the ownership statements. Every experience I'm having is one I'm creating. My life is working exactly the way I want it to. And if you feel that it's not, go back to statement 1 because you're creating the spaces, the experiences that you want. And then the third one is around everything in the system is working the way everyone in the system wants it to. What role am I playing? So at some point in your life, you got to take ownership in the choices that you're making. So if you say rest is important, whatever that looks like, but you're not prioritizing that, and then you upset that, oh, everybody else get to go on vacations and I'm stuck here because you chose that. You can't be mad at the choice you made.
Because you didn't prioritize it.
Choose differently next time.
Because where we going to be? On the vacation.
Yeah, I'm being
okay. we going to be on the vacation. But also... I want to also kind of disrupt the narrative around like constant rest, yes. right? Mm-hmm. Because people who know us know that we're not in constant rest, mm-hmm. right? That's why it's incredibly important for it to be strategic.
Yeah.
However, we really make sure that, number one, rest is something that is planned.
Yeah.
Right? It is something that's intentional. Mm-hmm. It's something that we understand that we're going to do and that we need it as the fuel and in order to be able to show up to do the things that we are called to do. Right.
Which I think is why it's so important to have that nap. Because mm-hmm. you don't just nap all day. Right. You take cat naps. I'm going to take a little nap. I'm going to sit on this little sofa. Or, you watching a TV show and it's like, you sleeping over the night? I'm just taking a little nap, just resting my eyes. And you do that so much throughout the day.
Yes.
That if we can use that energy.
Yes.
Into how to strategically rest, take naps in leadership.
Yes. That is what it is. It's those bursts, right? And understanding where you can glean that energy you need to be at the top of your game, right? So listen, y'all, I know it's getting, oh my gosh, it's 7:41 already. So we want to make sure that we leave some time to answer some questions from you all, to shout out a couple more people, say something. Yes, Dr. Boyd said you definitely have to be intentional around rest. In this, I want us really quickly to kind of answer, well, actually, I think it would be best if we go and see if anybody has questions for us. Right? And then we can come back to maybe one or two other things to share.
Yeah, because I like that question.
Yes, I knew you would. So I want to kind of see if anyone else has some questions. We want to open it up to you all to be able to ask us some things about the book. And we're happy to kind of answer those things. Look at this. We've got Carmen has some fantastic notes in there. You can listen. Carmen is the best teacher ever. That was the most teachery thing that I think I have ever encountered in my life. That is amazing. Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. Right. So, as we're waiting on questions, I want you to share your favorite story from the book. So this book, I want people to kind of understand a couple things about the book. Number one, as we started to talk about what we wanted this book to look like, we wanted it to be something that you could carry around with you, right? That's number one. Number two, we wanted it to be a place for you to be able to record some of the things that you need around strategic rest. And another big piece was that we didn't want it to be something that was cumbersome to read. That's not restful, okay? Mm-hmm. We wanted this to be something that you're able to breeze through, for you to read more than once, right? As you're kind of reminding yourself about strategic rest, for it to be a part of your strategic rest. So it was important for us to write a book that was, to me, an easy read, right? And for people to be able to do that. Okay, so I want you from the book to share with us what's your favorite story from the book or personal experience where strategic rest made a difference in your leadership.
So my favorite is when we towards the end, when we talk about collective strategic rest.
Yeah.
And the story around, at the time of writing the book, I was reading another book about permission to rest, and the author made the connection that how rest can be or is deeply tied to a feeling of safety. And I remember texting you, asking you the question, when was the last time you were just felt safe? Like you could just be you, didn't feel guilty for not doing something, etc.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it.
Yeah.
And we both said, and it was a very emotional space, but we both said, the last time that I felt safe was in the presence of my paternal grandmother.
Yeah.
Going to her house, having conversation. I never felt like I had to be on.
Wow.
Had to perform. Or, oh, you went to this, so what's next? What's next? That was never part of the conversations we had. Yeah. It was always, you're doing great, and just having random, it just felt good to just sit back and relax.
Yes.
And I realized when she passed in 2013, hindsight, looking back, I haven't felt that sense of safety. And that's why I've been going,
Yeah.
trying to do,
Yes.
because I had no space of safety.
Yes.
And when I read that in the book, and actually that's when it hit, that rest shows up when you feel safe. And I think about the positions, the jobs that I've had in my life, and I didn't rest in them because I didn't feel safety in them.
Yes.
Even with people that look like me,
yes,
I didn't feel safe. And so instead of resting in this space, I kept doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so now for me, it's, if I don't feel safe, I know I'm not going to be able to rest here. So I need to make some decisions.
Yes.
So that was my favorite story.
Oh my goodness. That gives me chills. So mine for sure was my maternal grandmother, and I shared that with you, that literally in my mind, how sitting in her recliner with her was rest, right? I could do something, my mom would be like, I'm gonna get you. And the first place that I would run was to that rest, right? And even in that, just sitting on her lap and her holding me and knowing that I was safe from whatever the consequences were. I was safe for that moment. I knew ultimately I would have to deal with whatever it was. But that's what rest is, right? Like rest for us. And understanding that we have to create that.
Yeah.
You have got to advocate for what rest will look like for you and creating it, especially when, if you're like us, have experienced that some of the places that you felt the most safe have been places that, of course, by no control of your own, are no longer available.
Yeah.
That's why understanding it and what it looks like is incredibly important.
And it shifted because I think unintentionally I was processing it through life, right?
Yeah.
In terms of how can I recreate the experiences I had with my grandmother, with people that I come into contact with.
Ooh.
Because if she can't physically go everywhere with me, how do I take her spirit with me? And so there's not a occasion that I do, speaking, whatever, that I don't bring her up in some type of way. And that's how I'm able to be calm in spaces where people are like, why aren't you flipping out? I'm rested.
I'm rested.
I'm rested.
I'm rested.
I'm rested in this thing.
So listen, we had some great questions come in. And so I want to shout out we want to answer some of these and shout out some of the folks who asked questions. Let's see. Our very first question, someone's like, I love strategic rest. Dr. Mueller said they love strategic rest, but do y'all have advice for people who are caregivers of little children, elder, that seek strategic rest that sometimes gets interrupted by the acute need of others, right?
I'm a vision. I'm trying to find a question because
ultimately, right, to me, it comes down to that nap, right? We know that there's going to be spaces in which you're going to have to always make sure that you're nurturing the space that you need to be in, right? In those communities. So even when something gets interrupted, it doesn't mean that there wasn't a space in place for it to happen, right? So ultimately, what that usually will mean is that means that, to me, later on, you need to be, of course, assessing what is happening, right? And then prioritizing at another time when that rest can take place, right? Even if that bite-sized chunk happened, that there's also another space in place for you to be able to do it. For me, that often looks like, if the weekend is incredibly brutal for me, right? And I talk about this in the book. For me, I'm not gonna see nobody on a Friday night. Nobody. It don't really matter what it is, okay? For the most part, there's very little that people can get me. Not only because it's the Sabbath for me, but because it's a key component of my ability to be able to show up for other people if I have to during the weekend.
I think my response to that question, that question surfaced around what does it look like for you to be collective in your strategic rest?
Yes.
So those that you're caring for, how can you embed them into the space of strategic rest, and you can do it together?
I want to go to one more question. Well, several questions. We're going to do the ones that are in here. So Dr. Boyd said, how do you recommend that we pace ourselves into a pattern of strategic rest? Well, that's really, really, really good. So I know for sure, for me, it is really planning, right? Like, to me, rest comes with understanding that it's not just events that belong in my calendar, it's rest. Okay.
Yep.
It's also it's joining and marrying both work and outside of work, because a lot of people often go, I want those two things to be separated, right? But in order for me to show up my best in each space, those things also have to balance, right? So if it means for me that, okay, I'm blocking this time on a Monday, or I'm trying to see, and everybody doesn't get the opportunity to work remote, and hey, maybe that's maybe that's some
that's an assessment.
That's an assessment of maybe what you need. It doesn't work for some people, it works for others, right? Yeah. So maybe finding that role, or honestly having a conversation with the person that maybe either you report to or the folks that you lead, saying, hey, on this day, I won't be here. You can get me wherever you need to get me, or don't, right? You'll be able to take care of it. So it's really, and in here, we ask you questions or provide questions for you to be able to kind of map out what that plan looks like for you.
Yeah. I think the other piece is finding community, or even, shameless plug, go get you an executive coach. Because if it seems impossible, but if you can achieve it and it's thrilling, then you need a coach. Because if it's something that is possible and you just choosing not to do it, then that's just you. But if it's something like, I really want to be more strategically rested, but right now the feeling of it sounds impossible. However, if I can do it, it's thrilling. That tells me now that you need a coach, because you're looking to get a championship. You need a team to do that.
Wow. Also, to me, it's incredibly important to understand that rest looks different, right? For me, one of the largest components of rest for me is a retreat, right? That I do with a trusted colleague, shout out Dr. Whitney Boyd, every 3 months. That's not every day. If that makes sense, every 3 months. And it's a time for us, and I talk about it a little more in the book, but it's a time for us to recalibrate, to ask questions, to hold each other accountable to the things that we talked about. I also have a meeting of the minds monthly with this person over here. And we talk about that in the book as well, that it really is a time where we come with no agenda and talk about the things that are on our soul. Yeah. It may be taking over the world. Yeah. It may be, this book was literally born out of one of the masterminds. And lots of people don't know this, but we do not live close to each other at all. No. We rarely, like when I saw her today, I just grabbed her because like we literally wrote a book together, not living anywhere near each other. And how many times have we ever really seen each other in person? I feel like I see you all the time because we see each other virtually. But I really feel like we've only shared the same space 4 times.
I think 4 times.
In our whole, in 4 years.
The first was Charleston. You were assisting me with the summer symposium for NASPA.
Which is the inspiration for the cover of this book.
The beach.
I have to tell that story. I know. Okay. So on the cover of our book, if that makes sense, we really wanted to develop something that, of course, was common, right? It was about rest. And so kind of also feeling that as you're looking at it was incredibly important, but it has a much deeper meaning. So one of the first times I was like, whoa, I just have to know her. Like, I have to know her. Anyone who knows me knows I don't like being outside, right? I love the beach, but I don't like to go to the beach. I want to hear it from up high. I want to see it, okay? But I don't want to be down low. I want to look low on it, okay? So this woman, of course, talked me into going to the beach, okay? Y'all, we didn't have nothing. We're not talking about cabanas. We're not talking about nothing. In South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, she was like, come on, you ain't got to have nothing. We just going to go walk on the beach. And I was like, I'm not walking on nobody's beach. But I went. It was something about her that I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. They kidnapped me. They put me in the car. But whatever the case is, I get it.
Dr. Craig that was with
Dr. Craig came with us too. So as we're walking to go to the beach, number one, it was a long walk for me, right? I was like, oh, this is wild. Also, we were in a space where I started to be like, I don't know if we're supposed to be I feel like we're behind these people's houses. And her confidence in being exactly where she was supposed to, where this was what she was gonna do. Yeah. Does that make sense? So here I am, I'm grabbing my shoes, walking in sand with my bare feet, which I absolutely hate. And there's one moment I look up and she's just enjoying the beach, right? And it made me go, enjoy this moment, Erin, just live in this moment. And that's exactly what I did. And since then, she has not stopped inspiring me to be thoughtful and intentional about the moments and to be disruptive about what it is to be arrested woman, to be arrested person, to be arrested leader, and honestly, to also be arrested friend. And I appreciate that. I will forever appreciate it.
Make this emotional.
We shouldn't be in the same room. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, let me go back to the comments. I'm gonna let you say something.
You know, that I'm appreciative of those words. Because, you know, I've lived a life for a very long time, not knowing that I had purpose, knowing that it was to help people, etc., but not knowing if I'm doing it the way in which they would want it done, right? And so I don't look for the monies, the fame, all of that. It can happen, great, cool. But the biggest blessing is when someone can say, you know, you've inspired or you did this and this is how you did it. I don't like those surface level responses. When you can tell me literally, because it takes me back. I'm a big visionary and I'm big on vision. It takes me back because I went right back to that space that I was. Because I remember you took a picture and sent it to me and I don't like pictures.
I did. Because it was just unbelievable to me how centered you were in something that to me felt like chaos. And I knew I wanted that. I didn't know how to get there. And systematically through work that we've done, through building this, through really leaving a legacy of rest and shaking up what the world shows, is I want to look for it, because even though I said I wasn't going to give y'all all the sneak peek, if that makes sense, in the book.
And don't forget, we're going to give away some signed copies.
Yeah, so we promised that we were going to do that. I want to look for one piece in here that I do want to share. Let's see.
Look at you reading your book that you wrote.
Stop. Oh my gosh. So one of the things is that my journey into understanding my priorities and diving deep into self-awareness taught me a powerful truth. I am valuable even when I'm not embodying the image of the overworked woman who seems to have it all. Y'all, when I wrote that myself, when I wrote those words, I was a mess in my own house, in my own office, literally. And I'm like, you the one wrote it, boo. Like,
but that's part of it.
But that's exactly what it is. That's 100% like what it is about.
Yeah.
And to gift that, if I had the ability to gift that, to jar it, to put it into something, to give it to every person I know, I would.
You did.
I did, right? This was my effort to be able to do that. And so my hope is that you will seek out strategic rest for yourself, that you will look for it. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I drop the comment, drop the
link.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. I'm a mess after we do. I'm like here trying not to go like, but yes. Oh my gosh. I want to go back to some of the comments that we have here, because we're in our last minute. Okay. So I think how do you want to do this?
That was a good question. I was so rested, I didn't think about that.
So while you're doing that, I'm gonna make sure to drop this in the chat.
We have I think 3.
We've got just 2.
2.
Yeah.
We have 2 books that we're going to sign each, because it's very rare that
we're in the same space together.
So we're gonna sign them both, and we're gonna give them away to people, 2 lucky folks that are on the live. Mm-hmm. And let's see how many people we got on the live. Let's see,
we've got quite a few still on here. I think maybe what we do is like anyone who was here, and then like if they shared it.
Oh, so if you listen, there you go. If you share this live and provide a nugget that you took away in the status, we'll be able to know that you shared it.
Yep.
And then we will pull from that.
Absolutely. And then make sure to use the hashtag strategic rest. Mm-hmm. Because we should be able to see it there too, but we'll also be able to track it, of course, from the stuff here.
Yep.
Y'all, it's 8:00, and if anything, not only do we respect rest, but we respect your time. Okay. So I just want to heartfelt. So many people have reached out and have shared, have just sent the most loving things. I literally, every time I'm sitting somewhere and I get the chime that the book has been bought, I'm almost in tears and in disbelief that anyone would want to read what we wrote from the heart. I know they would, but it just, thank y'all. That's it. Thank you to the people who showed up here tonight, to the people who watch this later. Thank you to you.
So should we give time for people who may rewatch it that a chance to watch?
Oh, yes. So why don't we, I think that's fair. I think what we'll do is, because it will show us, so we'll pick one person who was on the live, mm-hmm. and then we'll pick one person who was not on the live, who's one of the rewatchers. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what we're gonna do. We've got the 2 books here tonight. We are going to sign them and write in there little notes to hopefully encourage you to continue to rest. In the comments, look, Carmen said no fair. They weren't shooting in the gym, huh? But absolutely, we are going to kind of do that. And it won't be the last time.
Carmen says, when is the next book? And so I just want to say,
oh my goodness.
If I can talk, something I don't normally do is talk around a bush. It may not be a book.
Yeah.
But it may be a place and a space.
We've been working.
A gathering of such.
We can't just ask you to create community and not help you create that. So keep your eyes out. Very soon we'll be dropping another special close to our heart thing, but we want people to take strategic rest on the road. Mm-hmm. And we are going to create a space for you to be able to do that, for us to be able to do it together. Mm-hmm. And anybody who know me, know that Erin ain't gonna plan nothing that ain't gonna have a little luxury, okay? That we ain't gonna not have a good time, okay? So please follow both of our pages. Oh, we didn't even shout out those things. So for those of you who don't know, I am the principal consultant and founder of Design Ideal Consulting. And so please find us on Facebook and so that you can stay up to date with all of the things that we have. And I'll let Dr. K share a little bit about.
Yeah, so Dr. Kellie Dixon, founder, CEO of Clear Pathway Consulting Services, LLC. Follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, we're at Disrupt Narratives, and then our website, www.clearpathwaycs.com.
Love it. Y'all, go get this book.
Don't just get it.
That's it. Embrace it, right? Embrace this book. We made it not hardback so that you could take it. It belongs in your purse. It belongs in places, but it belongs in front of you and also with an ink pen to be able to work through several of the actionable things that we have in here, okay? So
buy a couple of them.
Gift them to folks. This is a perfect Christmas gift. I also have had multiple people reach out to us saying, hey, I'm gifting this to my entire leadership team. Mm-hmm. Or I want everybody in my group to read this. All my sorority sisters, all of that. Y'all do it. This is one of the best gifts that you can give to other people. Thank you so much. I don't think I can say enough thank yous to y'all for your support. And I think with that, listen, we about to go celebrate. We're gonna get some food and just really sit in kind of in this just momentous occasion.
I am proud of you.
Oh, stop. See, I thought I was gonna get off of here without
you did something that you said that you don't want to do or can't do. And that was a limiting belief.
Yeah.
Because you can and you did. And the amount of people that will be impacted because you did. So, thank you.
Good night, y'all. Thank you. If we can answer any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. If you have any questions about the book, if you would like for us to come talk about the book at one of your spaces, we do facilitations around fantastic content and would love to be able to be in your space. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all. Look, next year when we drop these dates about a community strategic rest situation. But I won't spoil it. We're here to talk about this tonight. But don't you guys worry. We are working hard and have laid down a wonderful foundation to be able to pull us all in together. All right, you guys. Thank you.
Have a great night.
Bye.